this right here's the re-up. Bang this in your speakers. The podcast where they keep it real. They do this for the people. Hosted by Shady and T with Tay Bourbon and friends. You don't want to miss it, yeah, you better tune in. Cause they get it so hype, you know that I recommend. This my joint, yeah, this my jam. I play this every time I ride. So authentic, I won't deny. The re-up, just hit subscribe. Ayy. The re-up, yeah. The re-up. The dopest, that's for certain. Shady and T, Tay and Bourbon.
How you guys doing? Welcome to February 25th. Today is Walking Dead premiere date. I hope you guys have been paying attention to season 8. I have, and I'm not very thrilled about it. They take too long to tell stories. I am your host, Shady NT, and to my left is not Bourbon. Bourbon is actually in Tampa, as she's been hyping up literally this entire month. So, hey. Hi, Bourbon. We know you're here in spirit. I hope it rains and storms the entire time you're there, and I hope all the beaches are closed. And for the beaches that aren't closed, and things like that, I hope that when you go to restaurants, I hope that you get, just a little bit of the diarrheas and things like that to prevent you from enjoying your trip in Tampa, because every time you go, every year, I always hate on you, and I wanted to continue that strongly here on February 25th. So anyway.
That Tampa two-step.
That's right. That's right. So we got a good show for you today, but before we get into it, wanted to introduce Kayla. This is my niece, everybody. So hi, Kayla. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Camera's right there. Camera's right there. Don't talk to me. Talk to them.
Oh, hey, everybody. Hi. Hello.
It's like 4 cameras, so just pick one.
Hello, everybody.
Just look at all of them. So Kayla, have you ever done podcasting before?
No, never.
No? You ever thought about it?
No.
No? Yeah. Have you ever, you talk a lot. It's just that a lot of people don't know that you talk a lot. People think that you're kind of like quiet and reserved and everything, but actually Kayla just can't really shut up at all. She's kind of like me. You know,
I shut up.
Do you?
Yes.
When? Don't get nervous now because you're on camera.
I talk a lot.
A lot, yeah.
About important things, though.
Really?
Yes.
Well, we're going to talk a lot about some important stuff. Before we tell them what we're going to talk about, do you want to just kind of let people know who you are and what you're doing and all of that?
Well, I'm not really doing anything. I'm just getting ready for college. Going to Aurora University in Illinois.
Who?
Aurora.
Aurora?
Aurora.
Well, how you say that word?
Pepperdine.
Yeah, so you're in transition. You're getting ready to start school, right? Going to school for track?
I'm going to school to become a physical therapist. It just so happens that I'm doing track along the way.
Okay.
I'm a student athlete.
Yeah. You're a student athlete, so a lot of you guys, I know you don't really know much about my niece right now, but she usually sits in here kind of in the corner. So whenever you're looking at shows and you see us, me and Bourbon, kind of talking and looking away, it's because more than likely we're listening to what it is Kayla's saying. And one thing that you guys don't know about, I'm going to tell you 2 very fun stories about Kayla really quick. So the first story is that Kayla actually shaved off her eyebrow back when she was a kid. And she wanted to go with half of the Whoopi Goldberg look, so she was really just whoop. She didn't get the P because she didn't cut the other one off. But where were you trying? You were trying to edge. I'm sorry. Is that embarrassing? Is that embarrassing for you?
I was trying to copy my Annie. She kept going in the bathroom constantly, shaving, trimming her eyebrows or whatever. And so I thought, hey, I want to do that too. So, I went in the bathroom multiple times with the lights off.
Yeah. Why did you not turn the actual lights on so that you could see?
I didn't want anybody to see me.
But
I didn't want anyone to see
you were the only one in the restaurant.
No, but I had the door open, and if people walk by, I felt like they couldn't see me with the lights off. So
interesting.
So wait, Bloody Mary took your eyebrow?
Did you say Bloody Mary 3 times? That what happened? And
yeah, she came and took my eyebrow.
I'm sorry if that's embarrassing for you. I didn't mean to do that.
It's fine.
Actually, I didn't mean to do that. Yeah, and then the other story that's really interesting about Kayla. So Kayla is a track star. And I don't know if you guys know her or not, but I have a lot of nieces and nephews. I have like 56 of them. And out of all of my nieces and nephews, and like 53 of them belong to my sister. And all of my nieces and nephews I'm very proud of every last one of them. And a lot of them, they play football, basketball, volleyball, and track. We're a fast family. I mean, we are black, so we got the track genes in us. I'm just playing. I was racist. And so Kayla here is so Kayla here is a track star, and she does very, very well. She's very good. However, Kayla has a little bit of a fatty problem. And there's the second story that I want to get to really quickly is that
What are you doing, dude?
oh, I'm embarrassed. I told her I was going to do this. So my niece decides to bake a pan of brownies. And she bakes these brownies, and then she washes the dishes, so the evidence, so that my mother, her grandmother, wouldn't see the evidence here. And then she takes these brownies and she puts them inside of a metal container, and she hides them in between the couch cushions. And I found out about this over Xbox Live, and I didn't tell her I was going to call this out on air, but I wanted to call this out on air. So, Kayla, can you explain to everyone why you were keeping a secret stash of brownies in the couch cushions? Was there weed in the brownies?
No.
Okay, that's a good thing to say out loud. Yes.
Okay, so there wasn't weed in the brownies. What happened was I wanted a snack. And
Just
so
for that day? Did you eat the whole pan that day?
I ate a lot of it that day.
Gotcha.
Like when, you cut it up in squares, I ate a whole line of it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just one
so-
line?
Yeah, like one.
Did a line of brownies.
She did a line of brownies.
But
What they call that, a bump?
I kept them downstairs with me under the couch because I didn't want to go up and down the stairs to get the brownies because I got hungry a lot playing the game for hours and hours at a time. So when I got hungry, I kept 3 bottles of water under the couch, and I kept my containers of brownies under the couch too.
Interesting.
And so when I got hungry, I just pulled it out, took a brownie, ate it, and then when I got like thirsty, I pulled up a bottle of water out, and I hid it from my granny.
So, has that affected your track ability?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. Have you gotten slower?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I lost muscle tone.
Oh, man.
I get food babies now.
Oh, man.
Yeah, my stomach.
Little spare
explodes.
tires.
Yeah.
I'm embracing my spare tire. I'm coming to find out that women really dig the dad bod, so that's what I'm trying to do now. Is that was funny.
Well,
No.
women who aren't really athletic.
Wow. So are you talking about millions of women out there?
No, I'm just saying.
Are you?
like,
What are you
people-
trying to say,
No,
Kayla?
I'm just saying people who doesn't really care for like
don't?
who don't really care for working out or anything like that. They really don't care about
Man.
other men's body.
Wow. So you're saying that
No, I'm saying if I
that
didn't work
spare
out,
tires should be with spare tire? Is that what you're saying?
yes.
Wow.
I'm
That's
saying
a little
that.
prejudice.
No, because what if you get a woman who likes to work out and stuff, and then you don't? So therefore, she's just constantly judging.
Well,
you.
shouldn't she love me for who I am?
No, she's constantly judging.
No.
You. She may say, "Oh, I don't care. I like the pudge." No, she's lying to you.
So what you're saying is that men aren't loved for who they are, but men should love women for who they are.
I'm saying not to get in a relationship where one likes to work out and the other one doesn't, because that person would constantly judge.
My goal is to make the person who works out stop working out. That's my goal. Is that no? Okay. All right. Anyway, thank you, Kayla. I'm sorry I called you out and embarrassed you a little bit. I hope you still love me.
It's fine.
All right, cool. I do this all the time. People, don't worry. It's not abuse, I swear. All right, moving on. So we got a good show for you today. You can catch us on Facebook at facebook.com/Pot City Reup. You can catch us at reuppodcast.com. You can also catch us at insight-ent.com. That is the official company name. That's, when we were talking last week about the party that we threw for Genuine and all of that, that's where you'll find information like that. And then you can also catch us on YouTube. You can catch me on Twitter at ShadyNT. You catch Bourbon on Instagram at Music217, MUSIQ. And we're not going to give out Kayla's information because you guys honestly don't need to be adding my niece and stuff like that. That's how we're going to look at it for the rest of the day. So now we can actually move into the show a little bit. How you feeling? You feeling okay?
I'm feeling
We're going
good.
to talk about some very interesting topics. So I'm going to be very curious to see what your input is on some of these topics. And the way this works is we're just going to kind of go into it.
Just talk.
Yeah, just dive right in.
Say what's on my mind.
That's not necessarily say what's on your mind. What's up, Zig?
What do Tide Pods taste like? Tell me.
Have you done that?
No, that is
If you eat a Tide Pod, Kayla, I will literally disown you.
no. It infuriates me. I hate the Tide Pod challenge. It's so stupid.
It is stupid.
You can die.
Can you? Okay. Yeah, matter of fact,
You
I'm
can
glad.
die.
I'm glad Zig brought that up because what a lot of people don't know is that my niece is at the very end of the millennial stage. She's literally the last one before they start talking about Generation Z or whatever we're calling people now, Generation Zombies. So for you, being 15 years younger than me, do you have any friends who have eaten Tide Pods?
No.
Do you have any friends who have thought about eating Tide Pods?
No. Some of my friends are very smart. Most of them are athletes.
So they
Don't do anything stupid like that.
got you. Do you all know of anyone who has eaten a Tide Pod or has thought about it? Have thought about it?
Probably Omarion, my brother.
Wow. We're not going to get into family drama. I meant friends.
No.
No? No friends? Gotcha. Okay. That's good. That's good. Because if you had have said yes to any of those questions, we would have had a completely separate conversation. So we got, like I keep telling you guys, we got a good show. We're going to talk a little bit about Blac Chyna. We're going to talk about Donald Trump and some of the quotes that he has out in the news right now, talking about rating systems for violent games and movies, because apparently he's too ignorant to know that that already exists. We're also going to talk a little bit about Tomi Lahren. And, Tommy, I really feel like if you had a man, you would calm down on some of this stuff, but I don't think you can get one. We're not gonna do it. Anyway, I'm just saying, we're gonna talk a little bit about her and her quote about how more prayers and things like that could be needed to help solve some of these shootings. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about why America is actually the true crap hole country. And the reason for that is, if you guys remember, there was a story just a little while ago where Trump was talking about wondering why, in a briefing that we found out about through everybody else who was there except for him, wondering why people kept leaving these blank hole countries coming to America. So we're actually going to break down America's history just a little bit and kind of determine, are we the ones living in a country that's not the best? So with that being said, let's actually talk about Blac Chyna, but not in the way that's going to be very uncomfortable for people, because we already know what Blac Chyna has done. We're actually, what's up, Zig?
I believe it's pronounced China. I believe that's how it's supposed to be pronounced.
I think that's
how our president pronounces it.
China.
China. Yeah,
Yes.
Blac Chyna.
Blac Chyna. Okay, so we're going to do that. We're going to talk about her, but not in the weird way. We already know what she has done, what she's released on social media, which is, honestly, it's pathetic in my opinion. So, Kayla, I have a question for you. We live in an age now where a lot of young people seem to think that likes on social media equals relevancy. A lot of people use their social media platforms as a way of digital self-confidence. You have a lot of people who don't have job skills, which is why things like Instagram models exist, because no, you're not a model. You are just pretty and unemployed, and you take pictures and put them on your Instagram, and you have tens of thousands of followers because everybody's superficial like that. So how do you feel about when you see these particular stories or these particular types of women where the only thing that they have is their bodies, and they're putting that out there in a way to stay relevant? How do you feel about stuff like that?
I feel it's no point of going to college sometimes to try to get that education, because if you can just go out there and get on Instagram and be half nude and get paid for it, why not? That's like a lot of people saying, why pay for college or so when you can make a lot of money being a stripper.
Right. That sounds like the Cardi B mindset.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I know you like Cardi B. That sounds like the Cardi B mindset.
I mean, yeah, she did drop out of college. She did go to college, but she did drop out, and she became a stripper to help pay for bills and anything else she needed.
Because it was
or
faster,
wanted.
right?
It was faster.
It was a faster way of money, and honestly, it's a guaranteed money because you
can
walk
get a lot
out
of
with
money.
cash. Interesting. So, on a perspective, because with you being at the tail end of being a millennial, and with me literally being towards the very beginning of this thing, man, I'm old. Whew. That's terrible. That hurts my soul. So how do you view social media? You personally, Kayla specifically.
Social media can be really fun because it also shares like information and stuff out in the world, and it gets everything out, but it can be really irritating and annoying. Like, people constantly post the same things. You look in the comments all the time, and it's always people talking so negative on things that's like so positive, like protesting. You always have people commenting so negatively, and then you have sometimes you have good things like news. As far as the shootings, everything gets out faster, so it's harder to hide things in social media now. But as far as the negative sides, it's just too many people can put their opinions. It's like you can talk trash over the internet. You never have to face your consequences just because it's over the internet. So it's a lot of good things and bad things about social media.
I'm glad you say that, because there's an instance that popped into my head when you talk about people who just say things over online and social media and think that there isn't going to be a consequence. And just to point out an example of that, there was a story, and I don't know if you heard it, but it involves playing on the internet, video games. And these people were playing, I think it was Call of Duty, something like that. And two people got into a particular argument, and one of the guys decided that he was going to do what's called swatting, call the police, pretty much ping the internet, find out where this person is, call the police, and then just get the police over to said individual. And the person who would have been the victim just gave out a random address in a random city. And the other person called in a hostage crisis at that house that was made up by the other guy. And the police responded to that home thinking that there was a hostage situation. And they actually shot and killed the homeowner, who had no idea any of this was going on because they made up the address. So you have person A and person B. Person A is talking all this trash, saying, I'm going to swat you if you keep pretty much making me angry over the internet. Person B is like, oh, yeah, whatever. I live at 1234 Main Street in Lollapalooza, California, right? And when really it was in Wichita, Kansas, but still. And the person A is like, oh, fine. Gets on the phone, calls the police, calls in a hostage situation, thinking that that address was where person B lived. And then the people who actually lived at that address were killed, or the homeowner was killed by the police, and there was actually nothing going on. Homeowner was completely confused. But it was because person B made up the address and because person A decided to send the police over there. That's an example of using a social media outlet that has a direct consequence on someone. And I agree with you, Kayla. I think that people believe that what you type over the computer is harmless. You have a lot, what we call them, internet thugs, and conservatives are starting to fall into that group religiously. But, these people who they come out and they just say whatever it is they want to say, thinking that there won't be real life consequences for that. So do you think that social media has made society worse, or do you think that society was already this bad? Social media is just the platform that exposes it.
I think that social media is a platform. I think all this stuff was happening. Like me and my dad had a conversation once about, I said, ever since Trayvon Martin, it's a whole bunch of people who's been getting shot, a whole bunch of people who's been killed. And he was like, it's been happening. He said now they can't hide it anymore. They can't pretend it's not happening because everybody's talking about it. It's constantly getting spread around, and it's just out there. Now people are bringing attention to it because they have social media to do it. So I think social media is just a platform for all the violence and stuff that goes around. It's just a way for everyone to know.
Okay. I think that society was already crap. Yeah. And I think that's a benefit of social media, because it helps us figure that out quickly. And I also think that's the reason why aliens don't talk to us. Yeah. I think that they have perused around the World Wide Web, and I think they have looked at all of our social media. And
humanity is kind of stupid.
Yeah, I think they look at people like Blac Chyna, who she has absolutely no job ability to do anything, and all she can do is stay. Well, she doesn't do a very good job of that job ability.
She's good at one job,
barely. Yeah, that's. Well, yeah, we're going to move. Yeah. So, it's like you have people like that. You have the Kim Kardashians of the world who, let's keep it real, wouldn't have been anything if it wasn't for a videotape. Same thing with Paris Hilton.
Boring ass tape, too.
Yeah, it was terrible. It was horribly boring. And, it's just these people are using social media to promote their lack of ability to do anything else. It's kind of sad. I mean, it's kind of sad when you think about it. But while we're on this particular topic of social media and platforms and video games and things like that, can we talk about Trump?
We can talk about Trump all day long.
I want to talk about Trump, you guys. I'm not sure if you guys heard this or not, but Trump has a couple of quotes out there that are worse than... No, okay. We already know that Trump doesn't really think about anything he says. He just kind of talks. And he has a quote out here about violent video games and violent movies that I wanted to read to you, Kayla. And I want to get your thoughts on this. This is a quote directly from Trump. So if it sounds bad, this is not me. I'm going to, word for word here. We have to look at the internet. I'm sorry. Quote, we have to look at the internet because a lot of bad things are happening to young kids and young minds, and their minds are being formed. And we have to do something about maybe what they're seeing and how they're seeing it. And also video games. I'm hearing more and more people say the level of violence in video games is really shaping young people's thoughts. And then you go the further step, and that's the movies. You see these movies, they're so violent, and yet a kid is able to see a movie if sex isn't involved, but killing is involved. Maybe they have to put a rating system for that. End quote.
Okay, so there's a rating system already?
Initial thoughts? Yeah. Well, this is a two-part, right? So we're talking about the rating system for video games and the rating systems for movies. So, go ahead. Go ahead.
So it's around. Rating systems are already around. That's
interesting.
You have rated R,
are
you
they?
have PG.
Yeah, man.
It's already there, and great thing is it contains what the rating means next to it. So if he didn't know that, maybe he should read a book.
Yeah, so what Kayla is alluding to here is that there is already, we'll talk about the video games first.
Okay.
We'll talk about the ESRB rating, and I had to look that up really quick. It is the Entertainment Software Rating Board. I knew it was ESRB, I just didn't know what that acronym stood for. The Entertainment Software Rating Board. What does that do? Well, I mean, I don't know, because when I hear Entertainment Software Rating Board, it could mean anything. They could be selling pizzas and making donuts like Gordo's. I don't know what that means. What do they do? Well, actually, that's not what they do. No, they don't make the donuts. No, they don't do that. They actually provide concise and objective information. Ratings is what people would call that, about the content in video games and apps so that consumers, especially parents, can make informed choices. What? Oh my God. Donald, I spent 2 seconds on Google. 2. And I found that out really quick. So I just want to help you out, Mr. Trump, sir, Mr. President, sir. I just want you to know that there is a rating system. It's E for everyone. Teen, mature, adults only, and rating pending. They put them on the back of the video games if you just go into GameStop. Just go into GameStop or any other video game store, because we don't have any kind of sponsorship or anything like that. So just go in any game store. We're not saying that GameStop is the best. We're just saying that I, being the gamer of the group, they typically go there more than most because they're a little bit better than mostly everyone. So you pick up the game, bottom corner of the game, it lets you know what the rating of the game is. Oh my God, I went in there to buy Grand Theft Auto, and did you know, Mr. Trump, they checked my ID first? Do you know why they did that, Kayla?
Because it's violent in the game.
Oh my God. Say that one more time.
The game is violent.
Can you do me a favor? Can you look right there and just say, Mr. Trump, the game is violent? Mr.
Trump, the game is violent. It contains beating of everyone that you want to. You can rob people. You can blow up things. You can do whatever you want to. It's actually like America.
Oh, man. That's zing. High five on that one. Yes. So ESRB. Yeah. They have a rating system, and parents do make informed choices. And I don't know if Mr. Trump is aware of this or not, but people have been playing violent video games for over 20 years. And I play violent video games. As a matter of fact, when I get angry, I go home and play GTA, and I haven't shot up and killed anyone.
Schools or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a very violent person. I'm like, oh my gosh, I had a stressful day. Let me go home and get on my game and, kill some people in the game. It's stress reliever. I don't actually go pick up a gun, walk into schools,
shout out to all the people who've been playing violent video games and haven't killed anyone, because, you know, we do exist. We are out there. And then moving into the movies quickly, there is another rating system, and I'm not sure if you know what this one stands for as well, but it's the MPAA rating system. This is
Motion Picture Association of America.
Ding, 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 ding.
One of
that
the.
is correct.
I have my own issues with them, but we can talk about that later.
Yes, I mean, but they are out there, and they do provide rating systems. Mr. Trump, if you've ever watched a movie, ever in your life, watched a movie in a theater, a real theater, not in a home, you will see that when the movie is getting ready to start, there's this big old screen pops up, and it's usually green. Unless it's a bad movie, then it's red, and it says the following preview has been approved for the following audiences. And then it shows a rating, and then it shows, you know, general restricted, and it has ratings after that. It tells you what's in it. It could say brief nudity, strong language, graphic language, things like that. They do exist. They are out there. What's up, Zig?
Well, he doesn't know about movie ratings because Birth of a Nation, that was before movie ratings.
Oh, man. Oh, Mr. Trump. You got to get out there. You got to get out there, buddy. You shouldn't make comments like this. Could you imagine? At this point, this wasn't even big news. And it's not big news because he says so many things that are absolutely ignorant that people just don't pay attention to.
Oh, man, like being pregnant for 9 months is
yes.
Like, it's apparently a sin to him.
Man,
it's
way to steal
disgusting.
my thunder, Kayla. God, we were going to go into that quote next.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Keep talking
I'm
about
sorry,
it. Let me pull
but
that quote up.
The fact that he says being pregnant for 9 months is it needs to change. I mean, I guess he wants us to push out the babies in 4 months. We're going to have a whole bunch of preemie babies, and they're going to just sit in our hand. They may die, you know, we don't know, unless they can find some scientific.
So what my niece is alluding to here is the at the anti-abortion rally in Washington. I want you guys to remember that, because when we go into this next topic, I want you to remember this, the anti-abortion rally. I want you to remember that. So moving on. He says, and I quote, right now, in a number of states, I'm sorry, the laws allow a baby to be born from his or her mother's womb in the 9th month. It is wrong. It has to change. End quote. Let me read that one more time. Quote, right now in a number of states, that part gets me every time, the laws allow a baby to be born from his or her mother's womb in the 9th month. It is wrong. It has to change. Giving birth in the 9th month is wrong. It has to change.
So he wants us to push it out 4 months into it. He doesn't believe that women should be pregnant that long. It's a sin. And it needs to change.
I think what he was trying to allude to was criticizing women who have abortions in their 3rd trimester is what he was trying to allude to. But the fact that he is not intelligent enough to know the difference between an abortion in the 3rd trimester and women having babies in the 9th month is absolutely positively ridiculous. It's just like when he declared the national emergency but used the wrong fund name and didn't give them the ability to access the funds that had millions of dollars but instead had a few $100s. It's Mr. Trump, sir. It is things like this that make people not like you. It's things like this this is why you have so many issues with the media. It's because you say things like having babies in the 9th month is wrong. It's because you say things like we need a rating system for games and movies that already exist. It's wrong. It's wrong because you don't think, and it's really bad. How did we go from a president who could just speak in complete coherent sentences to this person? America, man. America
decided to vote and show its true colors.
Yeah, 63.8% 1.5 million Americans voted for that man, and that's when I started realizing that society's not mostly good.
I mean, you had people vote for a
We
dead gorilla.
we have a caller, guys.
Oh, we have a caller. I feel like I know who this caller is going to be. Wait. I've always wanted to do this. Caller, identify yourself.
Well, hello, it's Bourbon here.
Hey, B. I knew it was you. How you doing?
I'm good. You know what? I cannot believe this freaking president. Are you freaking kidding me?
Yeah. We were talking about this before the show in prep, and it was we weren't surprised, but we were surprised. It's kind of like the more he talks, I'm just flabbergasted by how stupid he is.
You know?
It's crazy. So, what do you think about this, Bourbon? Because speaking from personal experience, I mean, you had a baby in the 9th month. Like, what is wrong with you?
I don't understand. Like, does he not understand that it takes a baby 9 months to fully develop? No. Thankfully, with medical advances and everything, preemies from 7 months, to 9, they have a high survival rate. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, their lungs are not fully developed. So really, till that last month, their brain finishes developing at that time. So the baby needs a full 9 months to be a fully grown bun in the oven, ready to come out. So trying to do this earlier, it makes no sense. Like, you're trying to go against science and our body and how it's meant to be. How can it be a sin if that's how God made it? Hey, we don't control that. I mean, because I guarantee you, no woman is going to be like, "Oh, I want to be pregnant for 9 months. Sounds good. Yes, let's do it."
I'm pretty sure that Trump probably thinks that these babies start off fully formed. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that he just thinks that
he probably does.
That these babies like just kind of, like maybe like a pressure cooker. I think he looks at women like a pressure cooker. Like, this shouldn't take 9 months. There should be a button that I press.
What he does is, how sometimes you have celebrities who be like, "Oh, I'm pregnant," and the next thing you know, they had the baby.
Yeah,
that's how he thinks.
Kind of like Beyonce.
Yeah. Like she randomly got pregnant. She was pregnant for like 2 months, and then she had twins.
Yep.
That's what he thinks.
Ah, got you. So, is that what you did, Bourbon? Were you just like pregnant for a couple months and then decided, I've had enough of this? I'm ready for Mark Anthony to come out?
Look, let me tell you. That's exactly what it is.
How's Tampa treating you right now?
Oh, wonderful. We're actually on our way back.
Really?
So sad. But it was good. It was a good trip, and everybody got to meet Mark Anthony. Everybody loves him. So, yeah, we're heading back home, though, because, the big birthday is on Tuesday. So I want to make sure I'm home so I can celebrate with everyone.
I have a question for you. How long is that drive?
Exactly 16 hours.
Oh, man. That is almost my longest drive. I drove from Chicago to Dallas one time, and it was a little over 17 and a half hours, and it was the worst thing I'd ever done in my life. I don't know how you do it.
I like road trips, and we're actually stopping tonight. We're going to end up stopping at Mobile.
Mobile. I got friends there.
And the only reason we're stopping those because of the baby. Because if not, we would. I mean, we do these trips all the time. Well, we used to. We just like driving. Like, it's a good stress relief. You just jam out and zone out. And, every once in a while, it's good. It's good for the soul, a good old road trip.
Is he still chill, or did he hate the car ride?
No, he's very chill. Yeah.
I'm telling you, I don't know what is wrong with that baby. It's like he just like he eats edibles all the time. He just comes out and he just like, I ain't worried about nothing, Mom. Yeah, whatever y'all want to do. That is crazy.
Goes with the flow. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely all from you there, because man, that's ridiculous. All right. So you want to kick it with us for the rest of the show, because we got another topic we're about to head into.
Let's do it.
Cool. All right. You know what that is? That means she ain't got nothing to do. All right. So Bourbon's gonna stick with us on the line here while we go through the rest of the show. So moving on into this next part, since we're on Trump, I want to keep talking about this. So as you guys are already aware, we've had a lot of school shootings this year. You haven't heard about a lot of them because, I mean, honestly, everybody's so desensitized to it. But we did hear about the latest out in Florida, and we know how tragic that one was. I believe they said the death count actually overtook Columbine. And that's something that's unverifiable because I haven't actually looked it up, but it's something that I did hear on outlets. And now what we have is...
I think Columbine was 13, 14, and this one, the death count was 17. This
Gotcha.
one is the largest.
Okay, so it did surpass them then.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, so we have a debate going on because we already know that gun control is something that is going to pop up, and gun control, not gun ban, conservatives, gun control. And what we have now is we have the debate of whether or not we should arm our teachers across the country. No? Bourbon, before I ask you how you feel about that, Kayla, how do you feel about that? Should teachers be armed?
I don't think they should be armed because it gives opportunities for more of this school shooting to happen. It's meaning now since school shootings do happen, we're just going to prepare ourselves to defend ourselves back when they happen. Instead of trying to stop the school shootings from happening, we're just
adding fuel.
Yes, that's all we're doing. I don't think we should do that. I think we should just we should have a stricter gun control law.
Yeah. Okay. And what about you, Bourbon? How do you feel about that?
I don't agree. I think the teachers with proper training and certification and education behind the arms, and I wouldn't have agreed with this maybe 5 or 6 years ago, but the way the times are now, at the end of the day, the shootings are going to keep happening. If you can find a way to protect yourselves, like one of the individuals that died during this last one was protecting his students. You know,
talking about the coach.
He put himself in front of the door trying to block everything so that the killer couldn't come in, and it cost him his life. You know, he's a hero, but I feel by letting them be armed, you know, you're allowing them to be a hero in a different place. A couple of days after the news, you know, this happened, there was a kid that got in trouble because he took a gun to school, and he was like, you know, when they pulled him out, they're like, why do you have this gun? And he's like, I'm scared. Like, if something happens, I have to make sure that I can protect myself and my friends, you know, and it's like, and that happened here in Plano. You know, and it's sad that they had that mentality, but you can't help but to understand where they're coming from because, I mean, they're not putting metal detectors in school. Right. You know, all these things keep happening and nothing's being done to prevent it. And by doing a gun ban and all this, you guys, it's not going to change it. You know, look at how much stuff is illegal and people still do it. It's not going to change it. What we need is education. What we need is for, you know, individuals to know how to, you know, the ins and the outs and the consequences, and not make it so easy for individuals to get it. And if you're a parent and you have guns, you know, you got to be responsible, and you got to teach your kids gun safety, you know, and the dangers of having a gun. It's not cool, you know, to just have a gun and carry it around in school, or it's not okay to take out your frustrations and shoot, you know, a whole bunch of kids because you're not happy. And that all comes down with education.
So I have 3 questions for you, all playing devil's advocate to your stance. First question, then how would you feel about people who say that after a certain grade level, the students should be armed?
I mean, I could understand where they would come from on that, but at the end of the day, now you're making it very easy, you know, for it to happen. You're making it more accessible.
But
with the teacher,
wouldn't you be making it more accessible by adding it with, I mean, because at this point, once you allow teachers to be armed, schools are now no longer gun-free zones. And so with that being said, you know, you're going to have people who argue the right of, well, my child is just as responsible. How can you dictate the responsibility level of a teacher compared to that of a student, especially when people argue that you have teachers sleeping with students, you know? So
well, one has nothing to do with the other.
Are you sure?
You have very few teachers that, you know what I'm saying, that do that stupidity. You're not going to, this is not a way that you can, you know, there is no clear answer to this. But at the end of the day, I don't think that the teacher should be able to carry it with themselves all around the school. I think if they were to pass this, maybe find a way to have a gun locked, you know, where it's like fingerprint lock or something like that at the teacher's desk or something, so that the only time they can access it, you know, is in case of an emergency. Not sitting here and walking around, you know, with a Glock in your back. No.
I hope not.
No, I don't
no. Okay, so how?
But in a safe, in a room, and you're in their classroom, have it locked up in a safe where they either need a code or like a number code that they would have to keep, you know, safe and secure to where nobody can get a hold of it but that teacher. And in the event of an emergency, you know, they'll be able to unlock it and do what they need to do. But, yeah.
Okay, next question.
It's not going to happen, though. But go ahead.
Next, yeah, because it's, I mean, it's, of course, I don't think it's going to happen either. Well, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. Some states, teachers already can carry. But my next question then is how are you going to get teachers involved in this? I mean, is this something that you're, you know, how do you get the teacher support? And the reason why I asked that question is because I've actually spoken to a handful of teachers, like literally 5. And each one of those teachers had expressed the exact same concern to me, which is, number one, we're consistently cutting our teacher salaries. Number two, we're consistently putting teachers in a position to where they're coming out of pocket and they're not getting tax breaks for this to make sure that they have the supplies that they need for their children. Number three, this goes back to the same old argument of who's the parent and who's the teacher. Like, what are the teacher's responsibilities here? You know, and then number four, these teachers all expressed the same concern to me. They said, you can't support me financially. You can't support my school. You're consistently cutting our programs. And now on top of that, after you've slashed my salary 18% in the last 2 years, you're now turning around and telling me, well, now you need to carry a gun and then you need to be able to put your life on the line and defend. A lot of these teachers do not feel that that's going to do anything. And number two, these same teachers also feel like you're asking entirely too much of a teacher in this particular setting, in this particular environment, when there are other answers that should be tried before we get to the point of giving teachers weapons. How do you feel about that?
Well, one, I don't think this should be a mandatory thing at all.
Yeah,
I think it should be who wants it, you know, who wants to carry, who feels comfortable. I mean, don't even want to see a gun on TV. You know, you have those individuals.
Right.
I mean, this should totally be, you know, yes, like if I were a teacher, yes, I would love to have one locked up, and I would do whatever I need to do to protect my students and my fellow teacher, but that's how I am, that's how I think, right? Not everybody's going to be like that. And, I mean, it's happening.
Yeah.
You still choose, with everything that's happening, you're still choosing to be a teacher. I mean, it's your profession. It's what you chose to do, and the times are not going to get any better. So what's your alternative? Not to be protected in case this happens? Nobody's asking you to be, you know, a superhero or to be a hero at all. And at the end of the day, if you get caught up in the situation, and you go through that fight or flight scenario and you choose to, you know, fight, then that's going to be, go ahead, do it. If you choose to fight, that's your call. Nobody's going to judge you. But if that were to, like I said, it all depends on the individual. If I was a teacher, I'm going to be in that fight mode, and I'm going to do everything that I can to protect those around me. And if I have the tool to do it, look, it'll only take me one shot to bring somebody down, you know. So, but it all depends on the comfort level. So what are your teacher, your friends telling you that should be options prior to going to that extreme? So
one thing, and hang on, Kayla, I promise I'm gonna get you back in here. Just one second. And one thing that was brought up in this particular conversation with 3 of the 5 teachers, not all 5. So everyone, like when you said, well, what would be the alternative? When Columbine happened, we took, what was that, 97? We took over 10 to 15,000 cops, somewhere in that particular range, and we put them in schools all across the country, armed police, armed police, armed police, armed police. And the point was to prevent stuff like this from happening again. States received or states, kind of beefed up funding, for law enforcement and things of that nature so that people could have these particular officers in the schools. And, we did all of that and we still saw a tremendous increase in school shootings. Then we have, okay, well, it's now a little bit easier to get a concealed handgun license. Then it's a little bit easier for this. There are no longer mental health checks now when it comes to buying assault rifles. However, it's a lot harder to buy a handgun, which doesn't make sense. Our laws are not balanced in that way. Like everything had become a little bit easier for people to attain these weapons and acquire these weapons. My question is at what point are we actually going to say, okay, before we just give more people guns, because I really do feel like if we started arming all teachers or all teachers that choose to be armed, then the argument next is going to be, well, I'm in college. Who are you to tell me that I can't defend myself? I should have a gun too. Before we go there, why don't we? What's up, Zick?
That argument is already
out there
happening. Yeah, like UT passed, or the Texas state government passed a law that at least at state universities, students are allowed to carry guns, not necessarily to the classrooms, but they can keep them in their cars. They can carry them on campus.
Right.
And UT, like the teachers banded together and were like, don't do this. This happened all during last year. It started at the end of 2016, and that went down last year. Yeah.
Okay. So that conversation is being had. My question is why can't we at the very least attempt the one thing that everyone says won't work, which would then be, because no one is saying ban AR-15s. What people are saying is AR-15s should be harder to buy. I can buy one right now, but I can't buy a handgun. Right. And it doesn't make any sense. And so why don't we actually attempt to increase our vetting capabilities to then add extra stipulations when it comes to mental health checks and things that you have to consistently recertify yourself on, the same way police officers do, the same way military has to do? Why don't we actually try the particular laws before we say that they won't work? Because here's the thing, and this would be my analogy. DUIs are illegal. Everyone drinks and drives, because DUIs are made illegal to punish those who do it when they get caught. So if we don't at the very least put the laws in place, we can't punish them when they break it. Right. At that point, there would be no point in having a trial. It'd just be, oh, well, you didn't violate any laws. See you later. You killed some people, but whatever. So it's like murder is illegal. People still commit murder, but we can actually put them away because we have that law there as a backbone. So I get that people are saying that it won't work, that it won't stop them all. No law stops all of everything. The laws are there to punish. So why don't we actually try implementing stricter gun laws, implementing more regulations? Because at that point, we're not saying you can't have your weapon. You're still going to get it if you've never broken the law and you don't have anything wrong with you mentally. You're still going to have your weapon. So what's so wrong with doing that? That's my question.
I don't think that there'll be anything wrong with it, but at the end of the day, you can get guns just like you can get anything else. So having stricter gun laws, though I think it would help.
Wouldn't that apply to everything? I can still drink and drive, so why don't we make drinking and driving? Why don't we get rid of that law? I still would text and drive, so why don't we get rid of texting and driving?
Right.
At that point, you get rid of all of it.
I understand what you're saying, but someone that wants to get a hold of it and do the shootings, they're going to do it. And I think that's what they're looking at, is at the end of the day, these catastrophes.
Nicholas De La Cruz made the decision to buy that assault rifle after he had already gotten picked on. Even though he was already reported to the FBI, he was still able to purchase it. Right. That shouldn't happen.
Right.
And those stricter laws would have prevented someone like Nicholas De La Cruz from doing what he did. The Vegas shooter acquired over 30 assault rifles in Las Vegas right before he killed all of those people. And he shouldn't have been able to do that too. Why do we not have a registry? Right. Somebody saying, who is this man and why does he have 25 assault rifles? But we don't have anything like that in place. So, we can prevent some, And my question is if we can prevent some of these, shouldn't that be more than worth it? Like, we don't know how many terrorist attacks we've prevented.
I agree.
You know?
Kayla, what do you think about this, being that you just got out of school and you're going to college? What's your thought process? Would it make you feel safer knowing that your professors or your teachers can protect you in this case, or what's your thoughts?
No, I don't think that that makes me feel safer. I think that any teacher can turn crazy. Any teacher can go over and get upset, beyond mad, and just go off. Some teachers can't control their anger. I mean, I guess that's why the mental checks come in place. But if you can control your anger and you don't have any symptoms of, bipolar or anything, but one day a kid just frustrates you, try to fight you and everything, and you just go off.
They call those crimes of passion. Yeah.
You just go off. What stops that teacher from being able to just get out the gun? You can't have teacher on student violence. That way the teachers become the school shooters instead of regular people just coming in and shooting. So I don't having teachers can possess guns. God.
Sorry.
Possess guns doesn't make me feel safe. It makes me feel
uneasy.
It gives me bad anxiety to go in class and you have a gun in class. I'm going to try not to make you upset because I don't want that gun to be pointed at me. I don't think that teachers should. I think if anything, you want to change anything about school, you need to start with education itself. A lot of kids feel the need that a lot of the education that's happening in class is pointless. So the fact that you just want to put guns in the classrooms and you won't do anything about the school
So you're
system
saying like
itself,
a gun safety type of education program?
I think so. I was like, if you want to do anything, we should just start teaching kids at an early age how to defend themselves, just the basics. Yeah. And that includes like just the regular fighting. If a kid get bullied, they know how to defend themselves. They don't have to go home crying to their moms or something, or not say anything at all out of fear that they're going to continue to get bullied. They can protect themselves without having to bring weapons. That's why the kids that are getting bullied and decide to go get a gun and go to school and shoot it up don't have to. They can just take care of the bullies on their own. Both of them face the consequences, and it's just dealt with. They have a 2 days of detention or something, or suspended or something, but it gets dealt with the normal way and not have to bring guns into it.
So you're saying more education on bullying and the fallout of things like that, how to handle and how to cope with particular situations, and then on top of that, gun safety, gun sense, so that way people can make better decisions when they're emotional.
Yeah. You know what I think is the answer to all of this, y'all?
Jesus?
We need to bring the chancleta back.
No. Bourbon.
Look. You think, y'all had what, the switch?
Yeah.
The switch from outside, switch. Right? We had the chancleta or that belt. You know what? Back in the day, we used to fear our parents. Yeah. We loved them to death, but we used to fear our parents. My grandma, who raised me, she would just look at me and her one nostril would flare, and I already knew
it was time to be quiet. Yep.
When I got home. And I think a lot of like these kids going out and doing that, where are the parents? There's no discipline. They have no they have no fear of the consequences of their actions. And I honestly think that, that has a lot to do with it.
I agree. I agree with you. Hey, Bourbon, do you have a shot of bourbon to end the show really quick?
Yes. Take vacations. Okay. They're great for the soul. Make it happen at least once a year. I
agree. I think that's just good soul advice right there. We see you over here, Mom. That's some good shot of bourbon for you. And thank you so much, Bourbon. Love you very much, and please be safe on the way back.
Bye, Bourbon.
Bye, you guys.
Bye. Drive safe.
Love you.
So that's the shot of bourbon right there. And before we get out of here, that's part of it, guys. When you look at countries like Japan, Australia, England, Canada, they have instances, but we outnumber every other country in the world. Every other country in the world when it comes to gun violence. And I know we couldn't really get into why America is the true crap hole country, but I'm telling you right now, the mindset that we have around this particular issue and why we somehow, just for whatever reason, can't seem to find a way to solve it, so we do nothing, is one of the problems, and we'll get more into that. We'll make this a series. We'll probably spend a little bit of time on it next week too, maybe. But anyway, we want to thank you guys for listening. We sincerely hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you, Kayla, for being here.
You're so welcome. Thank you guys for having me.
Did you have fun?
I did.
All right, we'll see you guys next week. Same time, same place.
You won't use the card you dealt as an excuse for you to not do shit with him. I used to play the loser victim till I saw the way proof was driven. I found my vehicle and I haven't ran out of gas yet. And when they stack decks, turn handicaps into assets. Fanny packs, hourglasses. If time was on my side, I'd still have none to